Hi, this is Kate, and we're learning about percent change. These two employees work for the same big company. The custodian makes $15,000 a year, and the executive makes $500,000 a year. The company tells all of its employees that they will get a raise next year of $5,000. Who do you think is happier about their raise? The custodian, the executive, or are they equally happy because their salaries will increase by the same amount? Of course, the custodian is happier. It's not enough to consider the amount of the raise, you also need to compare it to what they were making originally. For the executive, the $5,000 increase, compared to his original $500,000 salary, is only an increase by a factor of 1/100th, also known as 1%. By what percent does $5,000 increase the custodian's $15,000 salary? That's an increase of 33%. If we compare the $5,000 increase to his starting salary of $15,000 and divide those numbers, that increases by a factor of 33/100ths. Another way to say 33/100ths is 33%. Percent change uses division to compare the amount of a change to the original amount. Percent change is useful whenever you want to increase something based on a previous amount. In fact, if this company were to give all its employees a raise, they would be more likely to raise them all by the same percentage, not by the same straight dollar value. So let's say they're going to raise everyone's salary by 5%. Percent change is the amount of change divided by original amount. So the percent change is 5%. To use that in an equation, we have to change it to a decimal. 5% is the same as 5/100ths. Amount of the change is what we want to find. How much more will this executive make next year? And that 5% is the change divided by his original salary of $500,000. To solve this equation for x, we can undo the division by multiplying both sides by 500,000. And 500,000 times 5% is $25,000. That's how much more he'll make next year. How much more money will the custodian earn next year if he's making 5% more than his $15,000? The custodian's salary will increase by $750. The 5% change is the amount of the change divided by the original amount. To solve it for the unknown, we'll multiply both sides by 15,000, and 15,000 times 5% is 750. Elijah and Ben are preparing for wrestling season. Elijah wants to decrease his weight from 142 to 136 pounds. Ben wants to increase his weight from 192 to 201 pounds. Which wrestler wants to achieve the greater percent change? So Ben actually wants to change his weight by more poundage, but remember, for percent change, we compare the amount of the change to where they started at. I'll calculate Elijah's percent change, and then I'll ask you to do the same for Ben, and we'll see which boy changed their weight by the greater percentage. So for percent change, we need to know how much he's going to change his weight by. We'll subtract 136 minus 42, and then we'll divide that by his starting weight, 142 pounds. When we subtract 142 from 136, we'll end up with a negative number. And then we're dividing that by 142. Negative divided by positive, this percent change is expressed as a negative value. But that makes sense because he's decreasing his weight. So this negative 0.042 corresponds to a 4.2% decrease for Elijah. Ben is starting at 192 and wants to get to 201. So please calculate the percent increase in Ben's weight. You should have calculated that Ben will change his weight 4.7%. And here's how, just in case. For percent change, we want to calculate the change by subtraction, divided by his starting weight. That difference is 9 pounds. 9 divided by 192 is 0.047. which translates to 4.7% for Ben. Now we just want to make sure that we answered the question. The question said, which wrestler achieves the greater percent change? And we have not answered the question yet. We have to actually write down that the answer is Ben. Ben has the greater percent change. This is Kate, and you've been learning about percent change.